Yeah, sure. Oh. Okay, if we can have everyone's attention. So welcome to tonight's meeting. I'd like to open with a karakia. So, mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te titiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahitahi, mā te whakamomori, mā te aroha, ka taea e mātou. So that translates to by believing and trusting, by having faith and hope, by looking and searching, by listening and hearing, by working and striving together, by sheer desire and determination, by all being done with compassion, we will succeed. Thank you. Okay, so we will get underway. I would like to add a late item to tonight's meeting. So under 9.12 of the standing orders, the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board can discuss items of business not on the agenda that can't be delayed to the next meeting as long as there is good reason. So there is to be a community event for the coronation of King Charles. This is planned for Saturday, the 6th of May, which will happen before the next community board meeting. I would like to suggest that we make a decision made on this item to confirm whether the community board wants to provide any funding for that event. So the recommendation is that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board accepts the King's coronation as a late item. So you can second it, so you know I'll move. Yep, Lou second. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Done. Okay, next item is the apologies, and it looks like everybody's here, so I don't think we need those. And item 2, disclosure of members' interests. Is there anything on tonight's agenda? Jill, and then Lou.
Microphone. Sorry, appendix 211.2.6 with a discretionary funding. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, which organisation?
My pronunciation is not very good. Kauai All Trust.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And within discretionary funding, community cadets and also the Rose Society.
Okay.
I was actually a committee member on that.
Yep, okay. And I also need to disclose, let me just double check. I have a conflict of interest with Kaputa Kaora. The name on that application is my mother-in-law, so I'd say it's very safe for me to stay off that one. So I think that's all for me. John? And John Wood for the cadets, Te Awamutu cadets. All good. So that's all our conflicts. Thank you. Okay, if we can move on to item 3, which is the public forum. So we've got lots of people here tonight, so it's great to have so many visitors. So thank you all for coming along. I believe most of you are probably speaking to your discretionary funding application, so that's awesome as well to have you here, because it's always good if we've got any questions. So let's see who we've got, starting with Kim from Riwi Street Kindy. So if you would like to sit up the top end there for us, Kim, and you'll notice there's a wee button on the microphone there. If we can get you to press that, so then the people that are live can see that. Now we do have a limit of time, so we have up to 5 minutes for each person to be able to speak. So take it away. Thank you.
Kia ora, ko Kim Rachel Taku Ingoa. I am the kai whakaako at Central Kids Riwi Street Kindergarten in Te Awamutu. So I am the head teacher. We have a marakai, a vegetable garden, which we have been working on for the last couple of years. We have had new kai regulations come in just after COVID in early childhood, which mean that we can no longer let the children eat things such as peas fresh from the garden, lettuce leaves, carrots have to be grated. So there's just a whole pile of legislation that we have to follow. And so we would like to stick a fence with a gate, some trellis along it and a waharoa as sort of the first stage of the garden project. So that's what we're seeking some funding for. You will have seen I'm guessing you guys have got a copy of the application. So there is a pile of things on there that we would like to do. In the past, our vegetable garden has been more about giving the tamariki like tastes of different food and really kind of trying to open them up to new possibilities and experiences. However, with the new kai regulations, and they're not quite so new anymore, but with the new kai regulations, we can't do that as much. And our focus has really been on feeding the whānau. So last year we grew over 100 tomato plants, which we gave away. They went to our families and friends and families of the families. We gave some to the other Hazelmere and Kihikihi kindergarten, and we also put some at the Share and Shed, and we thought that this year potentially we might see if Raukawa Trust would like some and maybe Kāinga Aroha as well, just to try and spread the love a little bit further. Today I was actually harvesting the kumara, so we've had 2 beds of that in, and we're going to use that for fundraising for Hangi. We've also just completed a cheese raffle that Fonterra gifted us some cheese to go towards the cost as well. So we've been fundraising for a while. I don't really know how much more to tell you or what you want, so if you guys have got any questions, it might be the best place to start.
Okay, so thanks, Kim. You guys provided a very comprehensive outline of your project and everything in our notes. So I'm not sure if there's many questions. So are there any? Wow, that's good. I just wanted to say congratulations. It's an awesome project. From my, just personally, I thought it was wonderful the way that you're encouraging the children, that you're including the whānau and the wider community. And I also love the idea that, you know, this is something that's going to be there for future generations as well, and keeping our tamariki safe by not letting them eat peas on their own. It's crazy, but yep. So yeah, no, thank you very much. And you guys did a great job, and there was lots of information, and yeah, it was really well put together. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And thank you very much for your consideration as well. We really appreciate it.
That's all
As
right.
do our tamariki.
I do just want to quickly mention, seeing that as there is a lot of people here, that we do only have a limited amount of funds, and we have been asked to give out $46,000 of funding, and we've only got around about sort of between 20 and 25. So as much as, and I hope I'm speaking for everybody, we'd love to support you all, because they are all really worthwhile projects. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to give you all of what you've requested, but please know that we think that they're really great things that have been asked for this time as well. So next up, we've got Gina from Kōwaiao. So if you'd like to take a seat, Gina, welcome.
So kia ora koutou, called Georgina Tukuingwa. I am the general manager and co-founder alongside my husband of Kōwaiao Trust. We are 5 weeks in and we're running. And currently we're working with, we've got 23 rangatahi that we're currently engaged with. This service is targeted at 15 to 24-year-olds who aren't engaged in training, education, or employment. However, we do have leniency on, you know, they only might be going to school 3 days a week, but presenting with a little bit of mental health or anxieties around getting to school. So we are that mentor for them to try and get them either back into training, education, or employment. And we do that by getting them a referral. They get allocated out to their kaiarahi, so an advocate. And then from there, their advocate engages with them. The first sort of process is getting them to sign consents. We do safety planning, learning about what their triggers are internally, externally, and then we start working on an assessment. Within that first month of engagement with us, they do see a mental health nurse as well, and have a mental health assessment. And going forward, they can have repeat sessions with her if need be. Otherwise, they just start working with their mentor, breaking down those barriers. So tonight I'm here, and as you'll see on my application, to seek some further funding for a van. Currently, we have 2 cars under this contract. However, it's not enough. We need a van, something that we really want to do and have more for our Waipa community. So, you know, that is Te Awamutu, it is Kihikihi, it is Pirongia, right down to the borders of Odo, right up to, you know, Tamahiri, Mātangi. Is to get our tamariki to school. It's really come to light that there's tamariki not going to school. So if we can have a van to get them to school, and then again after school activities across Waipa, we're only going with 1 van to start with. However, I believe that we're going to need to increase that quite rapidly. Yeah, for those before and after school activities, we want to create more after school activities, and with the use of a van we're going to be able to do so. It's also about giving our rangatahi that we currently work with now opportunities and to get to experiences that they don't otherwise get to as a group. You know, we had to take both cars out last week because we had 5 rangatahi we took for hikoi, so they all went out Mount Kakapuku, but you know, that was our 2 cars gone. Therefore, another one of our staff actually had to use their personal vehicle, which we don't encourage. So, yeah, if we had a van, it would just be so beneficial. It would be used daily. Yeah, that's me. Got any questions?
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, so anyone got any questions, Lou? Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very well. You operate 5 days a week or completely?
Yeah. So currently Monday to Friday. However, we want to be the driver of community events and getting things up and going for our community, for our whānau. Our focus is to do that first of all within Te Awamutu and Kihikihi, and then spread wide. So soon that will change, you know, like it might be Monday to Friday, and then once a month we might work on a Saturday. Yeah, I think that will soon change.
Yeah, thank you for that answer.
Yeah.
Hi there. So I think I saw 22,000 is what you need.
Just 2,000 we're going for.
But for the van itself.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
Yes.
you've got the funds. The rest of it, or?
No. So what we're doing is seeking local sponsorship, going to our community boards, and we'll be doing some fundraising. Yeah.
Okay. That's right. That's cool. Thank you.
Anyone else got any other questions? No. Thanks, Gina. Awesome mahi that you guys are doing, and really excited to see how it all comes. And yeah, thank you. Great application, easy, clear.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ange.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, yes, please. Cool, thank you. Okay, next up we should have Sherry Ann from Kiki Rugby. Oh, there she is, over there. Kia ora. If you'd like to grab a seat, and you'll see the big purpley looking button that you need to push to be able to talk for the live stream, that would be great. Thank you.
Kia ora everybody, I'm Sherry Ann Emery. I'm with the Kihikihi Rugby Sports Club based in Kihikihi. So we've applied for some funds to help purchase a new, stovetop oven, a range hood and a refrigerator for our club rooms. The ones we have are old, we've had them there for years, and our fridge it's freezing over, but they all need replacing. Currently, we are renovating the club. We've just gotten, thanks to a donation from NT Joinery, they donated a new kitchen unit for us. So we've got that installed, and we've been fundraising to, get the carpentry, all those bits and pieces done, new flooring. We've recently got a new, at the moment we're getting a new roof put on the club. God, what else? We've been fundraising, we're running raffles. Yeah. We're just trying to, we've got a new committee and we're just trying to rejudge our club. And so our current rugby season, we've got 3 junior, I think we've got two, what do you call them, ripper teams and 1 tackle team. We've got 3 senior teams and we're just trying to revitalise and re-energise the club and get it going again. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah. Thanks for coming along. How many people in the club now? So you've got those,
How many
teams,
current members?
Yeah.
We've got 300 financial members.
Oh.
Yeah. And, you know, always looking for more.
Yep. That's cool. And in terms of kids and the whole,
That's
the whole lot,
it.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm really excited. I was, you know, the kitchen's a great place to start. You know, food's wonderful. Good at the Kai. I saw that you actually approached Harvey Norman for a quote. Now I'm about the local and the local stores and prospering the locals. So I was sort of thinking more along, you know, just reminding or sort of with regards to spending money locally if we can.
Yep.
And Kim noticed that you got 2 building quotes from local. Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, so is there any other questions? Sherry-Ann? No? Okay, again, you guys did an awesome job of your application too, and lots of information in there. And well done on all the fundraising that you've been doing. That's always good to see when community groups come to us. So really appreciate that, you know, you guys have been doing the mahi behind the scenes as well. And all the very best. And hopefully we can at least give you some putia to go towards your project. So like all I can say is I wish we could give you more, but yeah, I can't stretch it. We don't have the reserve bank. Be good if we did. So kia ora, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to have to leave too, if that's okay.
So is there anyone else wanting to speak to discretionary funding applications or speak during the public forum? No? Okay. So that ends the public forum then. You are very welcome to stay if you wish. But otherwise, thank you very much for taking your time to come and present to us. Okay. We shall then move on to item 4, which is the confirmation of the minutes on pages 7 to 11 of our agenda. So can I have someone to move that the Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board confirms the minutes of the agenda of the meeting held 22 March 2023? Oh, yeah, but I meant to. Okay, Jill and John. I won't read it out. I'll just go Jill and John. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, done. Onwards and upwards. We're now moving to pages 12 to 38, which is the draft public hang on, let me try that again. The draft public places bylaw engagement. We've got Graham online. Hi, Graham.
Hi. Oh, you can't see me.
Yeah, we can
Dear.
see you.
There we go. That's better. So I can see me on the screen. So thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. I won't take many minutes over this. I won't. You might have a number of questions, though. This is an opportunity for the community board to provide us with some feedback on a working draft of the reviewed public places bylaw. This is certainly not the draft that we're likely to be putting out for consultation. It is a working draft. You could, of course, choose to use the information you've got to start working up a submission for when the time comes, which we're thinking is likely to be mid-June to mid-July. But for the next couple of weeks or so, we're interested in any feedback from you as to what's in the draft, whether you think that it might work, or any particular issues that you might have, by all means think of various what if scenarios and send those to us and just test us out. That's a way of us working through the bylaw and seeing whether whether the bylaw covers it. You may well identify some gaps that we've not covered as yet. This working draft has also been sent to the Cambridge Community Board, the 2 Chambers of Commerce, and New Zealand Police. So they're also getting the same opportunity, and the Chambers of Commerce, because there's quite a bit in there around trading activities, parking arrangements, and things like that. So they may be a group of businesses particularly interested in this. So I say it's an opportunity for you to feedback, help us to test this out, please. As I say, if you want to use it as to start thinking about what you might want to put a submission on in a couple of months' time, then that's absolutely great. So open to any questions if I can answer them.
Okay.
If I can answer them.
Anyone got any questions? That's chill.
Hi.
Hi.
19 is vegetation. It says 19.1 property owners must manage the road frontages of their properties in order to ensure road user visibility and safety, minimise nuisance of or danger to traffic, and allow the free movement of persons using the public place. So that's relating to the burns on the front of people's property?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think urban areas, don't quote me entirely on this one, but I think that the transportation team's policy is that they're not maintaining the berms as such in terms of mowing.
Because it's council property, isn't it? It doesn't belong to the house owners.
Indeed,
so,
yeah. There is a question also in this bylaw. I do believe, if my memory serves me right, around whether we're allowing parking on berms. That's going to be a contentious one, I think. So we'll probably get a few submissions on that, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I did see that. For example, my neighbours just had a building done that has taken 15 months, and all the contractors parked on my burn and made a big mess, but there was nowhere else for them to park at the time because it's a dangerous area. It's just quite interesting. I've got a property in Kihikihi where the people who own it have been talking to me, and council planted on the front of their berm, which is very dangerous part of the road. It's on an angle, and they can't get, the owners can't get to maintain it, and council won't either. So it's overgrown and it's a poor visibility for the, so it's just going to be interesting to see how some of these, I guess each case might be a little bit different. And I guess people can still ask the council, but yeah, it's a very dangerous area and nobody's taking responsibility of it at the moment. So I guess we need, so this is on the front of their property, but not owned by them, and nobody's taking responsibility to care for it. So it's a bit of a trick. But thank you. It'll be interesting. There may be different cases that are exceptions.
Indeed, yeah.
Thank you.
But it's that kind of scenario we're interested in knowing about, so we can just test to see whether the bylaw is going to work.
Yes.
Or raise some questions that go through to other teams to for them to think about.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Has anyone else got any questions from this part of the bylaw that we've been presented so far? Lou, did you have a comment?
Yeah, quickly, question? As an ex-farmer, I quickly ask, I do agree with the stock proving laws, okay, having it further extended to include more than dairy cattle. I think that's a positive, but I'd like to see what you're developing there, Graham.
Thank you.
I'd just like to have a look at it and peruse
All
it.
right. Okay.
There could be some connotations in what we have with that. The other one I just wanted to ask, following on from Sally, was the maintenance of the road frontage or berms, as you call it. Does that extend to rural areas?
I believe the transportation team have different rules for rural and urban areas.
Yeah.
And whether it's a long straight stretch of road or on corners and particularly intersections, because the important thing is obviously road safety and visibility.
That's why I questioned. I just wondered, what the interpretation was. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
I just had a bit of an odd one, and this is a real random one, Graham. What happens if someone uses a unicycle, because this definition of cycles was they had to have 2 wheels?
Thank you for that one. There's always one, isn't there? Yeah,
I just thought I'd raise it.
Very good question, actually. It's exactly the kind of questions that we want to get thrown at us just to be absolutely certain. A cycle means there has at least 2 wheels. That's right.
Yeah, so it was just off the definition. So I thought, oh, what happens if they have a
unicycle? A wheeled recreational device, the last of the definitions. Whether that's going to cover it, but
probably should.
Means a vehicle that is a wheeled conveyance that is propelled by human power or gravity.
Yeah, so that should
there you go,
shouldn't it? Probably.
We've probably caught you that way, but good question. Good question.
Now, I had just going through the vehicle use restrictions, I noticed that the load, and this isn't a Te Awamutu thing, but the load on the Victoria Bridge was based on its height and width. And I wondered whether weight should be included. It was just a question, should it be weight based? Because what happens if something happened to be within the width, within the height, but it's super heavy? Is that going to impact the like this structural thing of the bridge?
Okay.
It was just a wondering.
Well, I think it's a very valid question. We do have Brian Hudson, who of course is transportation manager on the project team on this, and we are trying to reword this clause to be slightly clearer as to what it means. The existing wording that we've got, we were scratching our heads as to what it actually means. If you're an engineer, you can probably understand it, but this bylaw is likely to be read by a lot of non-engineers, so we wanted to make it a bit clearer. But certainly the weight question, I think, is one that should be asked, just to make sure that we've got it covered. I'm sure Brian's thought it all through, but yeah, let's have a look at it.
I think it'd be a real anomaly. And then under the parking restrictions, it was just one that I wondered about as well, that can there be a limitation on the numbers of cars parked on the roadside when there's not adequate parking spaces or for a valid reason? I was wondering whether something like that would help in our cruising / rural stuff, especially where part of the problem with that behaviour is the large groups of cars that are parking and blocking the road, and whether that could be part of the bylaw where you can limit the numbers of cars where there isn't adequate parking.
Okay. Obviously, I will need to feed that question through for our legal counsel on that one, but please, by all means, send that question through to us. Then we've got it in writing, and we know exactly what it is that you want answering.
So that was just a couple of thoughts
that could be a really crucial question for that particular issue.
Perhaps to add to that too, we do have properties within numerous cars almost permanently parked in a mobile state in some cases outside on the berm. Would this actually have the contingency to remove that? You have things like broken trailers and cars and things lying outside properties.
That's
Actually,
that's something else we need to look at. Also mindful of people that berms that become car sales yards. That can happen as well. But on the other hand, you've got people that are just parking up for a couple of hours because they're visiting a property and there's nowhere else to park. And then there's the question of, if we've got more housing intensification and less off-street parking, where do people park then? So there's one or two other issues that we need to be mindful of as we continue drafting this.
Okay, if there's no further questions,
there was one other point I would like to make, Chair. That was coming back to Councillor Brown's point around the cattle and the stock. When we reviewed this bylaw in the past, or when we created it the first time, we had someone on the team who knew all about stock crossings and underpasses and things like that. That person is no longer at council, and we don't have that expertise. So anyone with that kind of agricultural knowledge, we'd really appreciate their comments on what's in the bylaw. So thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll take that on board. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Graham, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So if I can have someone to move that Graham's report is received. So we've got Jill and Sally. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Graham. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and so before we do move on from that item, I just wanted to get a bit of an idea. Are the community board interested in having a little bit more of a look and spending a bit more time to be able to put something together to go back, and with some of those ideas that maybe we've raised, and we might even have a few more to put forward before it actually goes to public consultation? Yep. Okay, so if we're keen to do that, that'd be great. So we can discuss just a bit further later on how we're going to do that. So good as gold. Is there anyone in particular that would like to look after that, sort of be in charge of pulling that information together at all? Jill, okay. Jill's it. Great. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jill. Righto, so we'll move on to item number 6, which was on pages 39 to 80. And this is our Who Are We Te Awamutu survey results. I'd like to invite Shane Walsh up to speak to this. So if there's any questions from the board, we've got Shane here to help answer these. He does it much better than me.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm not going to speak for very long. I just wanted to give a little bit of context, some explanations, and urge for you to support these items. So just to talk about what is the aim of the survey. The aim was to find out what the Te Awamutu brand is. So what is a brand? Simply, it's just, what do people think about it? And in this case, what do you think about Te Awamutu? So that's the brand. Rosetown is not a brand. It's a tagline that supports the brand Te Awamutu. A lot of people get confused with that. They think our brand is Rosetown. Why do we need to find out the brand? It is not. So that's very important to understand the difference between a tagline and a brand. So we're talking about a brand. And the aim is, by understanding the brand, you can improve it or make it better. By understanding the brand, you make better decisions and you become more focused on what's important. So if we talk about now just the survey, there were 717 people that filled in the survey, and that's pretty impressive. And this was achieved by speaking to Te Awamutu Lions, the Te Awamutu Rotary Club, Kiwianas, Rosetown Lions, and the Awamutu Rose Society. So the people, a lot of the people that responded are people that are in the community. They work and they put their time into community groups. So the people that really care about the community. So I think that's worth noting. But also, not only do we have the survey results, we also had a lot of discussions at these presentations on who do we think we are, Te Awamutu, and that is part of our consideration when we came out with the recommendations, is what was said at those meetings. So another aim of the survey was to check to see if Rosetown was still a relevant tagline, or was there something else more relevant? So it's interesting to note that before Rosetown of New Zealand was the tagline for Te Awamutu was Historical Centre of the Waikato. Very interesting to note that. So in terms of the tagline, the majority thought Rosetown was still relevant, but there's a strong support to acknowledge and celebrate the history and culture which is unique to Te Awamutu and makes us a little bit different from anyone else. So in other words, it's really heading towards combining of the last two taglines, and it also, in my mind, highlights the importance of Te Arawai, and that will be a great asset to the town to have that facility within the town. So simply, I just urge you to support the working group and ensure that the Waipa District Council delivers the recommendations in action. And I might be as bold to suggest that you add to your monthly meeting an update on progress to ensure Te Awamutu gets the focus it deserves and wants and is asking for. Madam Chair, that's all I wanted to say, and I'm here to answer any questions if anyone's got any particular questions on the survey itself.
Okay, so do any of the board have any questions in relation to what we've put forward and what we've come up with so far? Jill?
So it's probably not direct to the survey, but from the survey now you've got a working group, and will the working group be in action for quite some time? Is there a period of time that they're...
So that's for us to decide as a
that's
community
for us to
board.
decide as a community board.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the working group was set up thus far to do the survey and then provide some recommendations. So that's where we're basically at now, and these are those recommendations.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Jill.
Anything else? One thing I would like to just stress is how even the participants were. So I don't know if you noticed when you went through your survey, but basically right across all of the age groups, we had around about 20% take part. So we've got really, really even feedback from the whole range, with the exception of the 18 to 24s, and that will be because they're at university. So they're not really around. That age group tend to be, we're quite low. If you statistically look in Te Awamutu, the numbers of people in that age group are a bit lower. But that was actually quite heartening to see that we had quite an even, it wasn't, skewed just with the old people or any particular age group.
And I think it's worth noting that culturally it was very representative of the community too, with I think it was about 12% of people identifying themselves as Māori. So I think that was really good as well.
So, and that was also good in the fact that Te Awamutu sits on around about 23% Māori. So to have got, pretty much half, that actually is a really good result. And across Waipa, we're with 13-14%. So that was a really good outcome from the Māori part of our community. So if there's no further questions, then I just want to check that before we go through all of these recommendations on the that we're going to move, is everybody happy with where what we're recommending here? Is there anything that we feel we want to change at all? Obviously, point A, receiving the report, that's just standard. That we receive the survey results, that's fine. And the unconfirmed notes. And then probably more important, are we happy to workshop the Who Are We Te Awamutu survey and workshop the recommendations to establish priorities for the future and provide the results of the survey as feedback to Ahuaki Waipa Community Spatial Plan. So I just want to check that we're happy with that wording.
Is that us building it into the LTP so we can get action on some of these things? Or?
Yeah, which is why we brought it forward. We were going to actually bring this next month, but so that we can meet those timeframes, we need to get onto this quite smartly.
So
because they're currently providing the business plans, etc. now, or next month, aren't you, coming up? Business plans.
So I guess the question is, have we included that in our recommendation? Because we'll talk about Ahuaki in here.
Oh, that's a good point. So should we be saying Ahuaki and the LTP? We probably should, shouldn't we? Yeah.
That was the point, right? To bring it
So
forward.
we've just got that we're wanting to provide the results as feedback to Ahuaki, but we probably want to include that to the long-term plan. Kirsty, are you able to comment on that?
Through the chair, just in relation to that point though, it's providing the results of the survey, but what I think you're possibly wanting is to actually consider what your priorities are and to feed that into the development of the long-term plan rather than the results of the survey. So your resolution needs to be worded to reflect that.
Thank you.
So it might be that recommendation, let's see.
It's
D,
the last one, D.
where you talk about the workshop, that you extend that out to say, and you know that the outcomes of the workshop feed into the development of the 24-34 long-term plan.
Perfect. Thank you. Good spotting. Got some new wording for me.
So point D is that workshops, the Who Are We Te Awamutu survey and Who Are We Te Awamutu working groups recommendations to establish priorities for the future, and the outcomes of the workshop feed into the 2024-34 long-term plan.
Perfect. Okay, so can I please have someone to move A, B, C, D, E? Dang. Thank you, John. Second. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Shane, for your time. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Kirsty. Thanks, Dean.
Say something about your late night. Someone's recommending that we're going to do some lighting up.
The fountain and yep.
The fountain lights over about 4 years. Brought this up several times. They won't change colours. They don't be filtered.
And I remember that because we wanted to do it one other time. Yeah, we did.
So if you go back and find various submissions that have come from probably me, the business lights and also from contact with them. Try to look after the lights that are in the fountain. They're stuck on red.
Okay.
So considering lighting up purple, can't do it. We should maybe decide to light the primary fix them.
Okay. Thank you for that reminder, because now you've said it, I do remember that conversation well. Yeah. No, thanks, Dean. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pleased he said that because I'd thought it when I was reading. I thought, oops, okay. Who are we? Te Awamutu. Okay, perfect timing. We have Mr. Knighton here and Mark Lawson. Hi, Mark, welcome to talk to us about the consultation on the sale of land, at 1262 Cambridge Road to Kainga Ora. And this is on pages 81 to 82 of our agenda. So I will hand over to you, Gary and Mark. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and evening board members. Look, just as you mentioned, we have Mark Rawson here. Mark's the Regional Director of Kainga Ora, and he'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on the sort of Kainga Ora side of this consultation. Look, probably little to add to the report. We are consulting on the partial sale of 1642 Cambridge Road to Kainga Ora. As part of that, Kainga Ora are proposing to build up to 30 1 and 2 bedroom units for tenants who would be 55 years plus. So, and there'll be some sort of contractual requirements around the 5-year requirement, and also required to make that, to start that development within 3 years as well. Although I'm sure Mark will tell you he's very keen to get going a lot sooner than that. So the land was purchased in 2017, and stated intent at that time was for affordable and pensioner housing. And just look also to note that there is an information session tomorrow from 4 till 7 at the virtual pavilion. I'd love to see you there. Kainga Ora will have some more images of what things might look like there, although they are still to do detailed urban design of what may occur there. Yeah, so very much in the spirit of Community Boards 2.0, very keen to have your input to the process and see what thoughts you may have. Probably that's just throw it back to you for any questions you may have, board members. Mark, I don't know if there's anything you want to say at this.
I'll make the best use of your time. I'm just happy to answer any questions. It's probably easier.
Okay. I think Jill's chomping at the bit.
I don't stand alone on this, but I think it's great that you are doing this. Very much needed when I see one particular motel that's just used all the time for housing, and it happening in all the towns now, I know. So great that that land is going to be used. I'm quite excited about that. Tell me when people will be living in there, please.
From my perspective, as soon as possible. The reality is we would like to think we can get underway with the development probably next year. There's a number of issues that sort of play into that, mostly around the infrastructure provision component and related to the development right next door. So at the moment we need to wait for the consultation process to go through its next stages and get the feedback of the community, and then we can crack on with doing detailed design and all the other elements if that was positive. And that would see us in a situation, my vision would definitely be trying to get into the civils season in 2024.
Okay.
2024, so yeah, and then
So
reality,
all going well.
2025 realistically is probably the answer.
Okay, thank you. And have you got any other projects going on in Te Awamutu?
Yeah, sure. We have, so I make sure I get it exactly right or someone will tell me off. We've got 32 units under construction across 6 projects at the moment in the area. And I just wanted to reiterate this one, the plus 55 focus is because we do have a number of older customers in this area, quite a significantly higher profile relative to what you might see in the rest of the Waikato in our world, who are living in older, big old homes because it used to be a family home, and now there's unfortunately only a couple left. And so this is providing a new, safe, warm, dry, purpose-built solution for them, which will enable us to make better use of the 4-bedroom homes, etc., for other whānau who you see, and unfortunately in emergency housing or in less than ideal.
There's also a lot of
situations.
3 or 4 bedroom houses where only one person lives too. So yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
they could be using for families.
Yeah. Well, it's also more economic for them in new, warm, dry homes than trying to, we can upgrade as much as possible, but trying to heat and.
So that housing project, so will be all finished by the end of the year, will it?
What housing project?
The other ones.
Oh, the other ones? Not all by the end of the year, but they will be by the middle of next year.
Great. That's
They're
wonderful.
at various stages. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone else got any questions? Sally? And then Lou?
What will happen to the other 2.35 hectares of land?
So yeah, at this stage, no decisions on that. Yeah, there'll be something our property department have a look at. Where we go from that. It's so one option of it is obviously to sell that piece of land as well. But yeah, like I said, no decisions on that, and that'll be the property department to have a look at what the best options are for it.
Wasn't it originally? It was originally purchased for housing, though, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Lou?
Yeah, perhaps I can just answer that. If you've gone to the site and walked around it, you'll see that some of the site is quite steep. So that would not be able to be built on. Some of it's quite wet, and that would actually see. So we would have to evaluate that site as council over a period of time. Just one question, Jim, Mark, quickly. These rents will be means tested, because I work with the RSA, and we've got a lot of people that are pensioners. They're in a situation where they're in larger properties and looking downsizing, but they are in limited now incomes or fixed incomes with rising inflation. So the pressures will be coming on them quite a lot. So yeah, this sort of operation, I think, is absolutely essential in our community, and I'm 110% behind you on it. So I think it's great. As everyone's got to be aware that this is only a submission process here at the moment. We have not, as a council, agreed, and you'd say this, Gary, to this process at the moment. We're putting it out to everybody to actually consider and get feedback prior to it going through the due processes.
Okay, is there anything else from any of the board? I've just got a quick couple of things. So in regard to, resource management type things, you can't see anything, assuming this part goes smoothly and council agrees to sell to you, Mark. You can't see any hold-ups in regard. You did mention something about the development next door.
Yeah, look,
a bit more clarity here.
To be honest, I'm pretty comfortable, hopefully, with most of the RMA related elements and what we're trying to achieve here. The only real risk is just to work through exactly how the infrastructure works and the timing of that infrastructure to enable that whole road sale. So that's something that we would do lots more work on if this was a goer. At the moment, we haven't quite got that far yet.
Okay, and then I recently was up in Auckland at Flatbush, and I understand that there are a lot of kainga order houses have been built there, like just about right on top of each other. I know Gary and I have spoken about this, but I just felt it was a good opportunity for you possibly to be able to reassure the community that we're not going to be getting, a whole heap of houses stacked on top of each other. That's going to be sort of like a little ugly spot.
Yeah.
So I presume it's going to be looking nice.
These are, it'll be up to 30 depending on exactly how the layouts work. There'll be slightly smaller homes, definitely, but it's a single level, in this case for plus 55, accessible, hopefully all accessible. We might, given the terrain, we might have a couple that might not quite work that way, but nearly all will be. Yeah, it's not like some of the intensification you may see in in the middle of the cities, shall we say. Yeah, so this developments are not quite what you're going to see in the middle or around Auckland.
So sort of a bit more landscaping and stuff like that, and space between the units and things.
The plan is definitely have use space between them, but also to have some space for purposeful sort of community connection. So I don't know, it'll be a community space, whether that's a building with some green space, or whether it's actually just all green space with some facilities for customers of that genre. That'll be a little bit up to some of the conversations we'll have with customers who are likely to be heading there.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the plan of attack.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, Bruce just thought of something.
When you say single stories, have you given any consideration of going 2 stories within reason? Is there any thought of that?
For this
5-year-old, so they're not that old.
Yeah, no. The number of people remind me of that, including myself. No, we haven't really looked at that just for this one, partly because we are looking at providing the best outcomes for people to age in place. And unfortunately, most of the data for us tends to suggest that single level is probably the best solution here. We definitely will be looking at slightly more intensive developments in some of our other projects, where we get the best value for the government's investment of looking at 2-story type solutions, but not for this one at the moment. A bit more purpose built.
Okay, and we'll just pop back to Lou. He thought of something else.
Thinking, there's no duplexes as I've seen in your initial plans. Is that correct? Is there any duplexes or?
We haven't got to that level of detail yet. But I suspect there probably will be. It's to be brutally honest. Yes.
So it allows a little bit of individual.
Building and well, there we go. Gary's actually way ahead of me. So definitely there'll be majority duplexes, which I suspect it will be.
On the document that went out, hopefully we received a copy of it, just some details, the makeup of that 30, which 20 of them are duplex. Proposed.
As I say, because they work well anyway. They take up, people can live side by side, so that's quite good.
Yeah, we find they work really well for customers who suffer from a little bit of isolation as well, because
well, we have them in Palmer Street.
Pretty close.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no further questions, thank you very much, Gary and Mark. Appreciate you coming over to speak with us. And hopefully at least a few of us will get along tomorrow night to support your community event. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks for your time.
So can I please have someone to move that we receive the report of Gary Knighton, Manager Strategic Partnerships, titled Consultation on Sale of Land at 1262 Cambridge Road, Te Awamutu to Kāinga Ora. Lou and John, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chairperson. With our who are we, were we meant to do anything with our different options or vote on those, or we're not doing that?
That will come through at the workshop.
Oh, okay, so nothing at this stage. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine, thank you.
But anyway, we can do it that way. Righto, so item 8 is pages 83 to 86. And this is in regard to the appointments to the Community Board's 2.0 Project Control Group. So I take it that everybody's read that and understands everything there. So basically we need to receive Karen's report and then we need to appoint some representatives to that Community Board 2.0 Project Control Group. So has anyone got any comments to make in regard to how many people or who we appoint in regard to that, taking into account that the recommendation was from council? Let me just jump to that right page. Where's the staff?
I was just going to suggest, just a suggestion, but perhaps Bruce and I be excluded out of this because we're already councillors. It should be, I think, coming from the community board itself. It's just a thought, and I want to extend that to what everybody thinks. But I think Bruce would agree with me. We've got adequate, representation on this, so we should be not included in the discussion. Or we can be.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify that was one of the reasons that Marcus was nominated from the council side of this. Yep. Okay. Okay.
Do you think you should be on? Open?
Probably. I think it recommends that the chairperson. So I suppose myself and, do we want one other? Do we want two more? It's up to you guys. John?
I think we should have one other, just so they take the burden off you.
Yeah.
And someone else has got an insight of what's happening as well.
Yep. Okay, so on from there, any recommendations as to either who would like to or who you think should be the other person?
I'm happy to do it, but if others want to do it, that's fine.
Yep. So myself and Kane, are we happy with that?
So if you've got a burning desire, you can.
I don't want going on as well if you want someone else or
Oh, it's not up to me, it's up to you guys as the board. I'm just chairing the meeting. So
how many we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4.
What did Cambridge do?
Just for your information, Cambridge made their decision last week and they chose the chair and deputy chair to be their representatives.
Yeah, which is what we were doing.
We'll go with the same.
Do it the same? Okay, righto, done. Thank you. Yep. So.
I move to the chair and deputy
Yep.
chair.
Okay, let's get this moving on then. So we need to move that A, we receive the report of Kieran Phillips, Governance Officer, titled Nominations to Community Boards 2.0 Project Control Group, and B, that we appoint the following representatives to the Community Boards 2.0 Project Control Group. Should we just put chair and deputy chair, just so that way if something goes wrong, it's not named people? Is that okay to do it that way? The chairperson and the deputy chairperson are our representatives? I don't know, we might get hit by a bus, you just never know. You could do that as well, but I'm just checking. I know, I was just feeling in one of those moods. All right, Ange Holt and Kane Titchener. Can I have someone to move that, please?
I'll do both.
John, someone to second. Sally, all in favour? Against? Carried. Just checking, you never know. Okay. And then item 9 is the appointment of community board portfolios. So Kieran very helpfully found these. So you'll remember in the past that we had some people appointed to each of these sectors. And it was something that we spoke about earlier on. So sorry, pages 87 to 90. And I just want to, before we move anything, or would just like a little bit of discussion around if everybody is happy to do this again, to confirm that. I know we did talk about it and the initial response was that yes, we did, because this is a great way for us to proactively be engaging with our community. If we take on a group and make an effort to, even if we just contact one community group in each of those sectors each month, it's making a difference, and we're reaching out and we're talking to the different parts and the different people in our community. So I'm certainly very supportive of it, but as I say, it's not my call, it's up to you guys. So thoughts, please.
I'm going to try and engage more with the rural communities. So I'd like to not add it to that list, but just sort of acknowledge that I'm going to do that. I'm happy to pick up the sports sector, so I support doing this as well. I think we probably need to lift our game from last training. But yeah, I definitely support doing it. So I'm happy to get a sports one if that's everyone else is happy with that one.
We've just added rural, so Kane's going to do rural and sports. Thanks, Kane. Anyone else keen to do a specific?
I'd like to put another one on there, which would be waste minimisation or something. So I'm already doing that sort of portfolio with urban miners and batteries and things at the moment. And I think it's just a continuation of that. So
could we make that part of environmental waste?
Yeah, you could make that as a part of environment waste minimisation.
I was just going to say, do you want to align those names to your priorities that you've done over the last couple of months?
I'm not sure if they exactly match up.
Within Kihikihi.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's one of the things of your priorities, isn't it? That
Yeah,
waste
but we
minimisation.
definitely could go waste minimisation and environmental, because I don't think the environmental is huge. You know, like our main focus is on waste minimisation. Oops, sorry, I didn't have my.
But you probably don't want to create a long list of.
No.
It's just up too thin, so I'm just wondering if it's best to.
Okay, so we'll pop Lou there. Anyone keen for the youth sector? Jill, awesome.
I'd like to do that, and I'd also like to do the aged one if nobody else is
Yep.
doing that.
If does anyone else want to take on the aged and fight Jill for that? Okay.
Your age.
Service groups. John, service groups, awesome.
Possibly look at the music art sector as well.
Yeah, or Sally, were you?
But I'd quite be keen to do the environmental, and then that could leave Lou to do other things that he's involved with the council. And
Oh, microphone. No, you haven't. When it comes to online, they can't hear you.
Sorry.
It's not that loud.
I'm not too sure if it would be appropriate. I'd be really keen to do the environmental and let Lou concentrate on his council stuff.
Okay, well, what do you think about that, Lou?
Look, I've got no problem, whatever. I just thought that what I'm doing right now, I just continue on doing it, you know,
Yeah.
which I've been doing for quite some time, as you know.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Why
to
don't you do
support
that, that you carry on doing what you're doing, but have that extra support with Sally on that environmental arm?
Particularly as it is one of our strategies and one of our concerted for the.
Okay, like that. Lou and Sally. Music and arts. John, you were happy to look after those guys? Thank you. Bruce, what are you up to? Sitting down there very quiet.
Madam Chair, I'd like you to leave me out because I think my ward goes from just about Hamilton right to south of Te Awamutu, so I've got enough to do really.
Okay, we'll let you off. He can sing. Oh, apparently you can sing.
We'll help John out with music here. That'll be a real good one.
Okay, and social services is usually my baby, so I'll stay there with the social services group. So does that sound all right? We've got Kane looking after rural and sports. We've got Lou and Sally on the environmental. Jill is going to do the youth sector and the age sector. John's doing service groups and music and arts, and I'll look after the social services. All happy with that? Okay. All right, so can we have,
Madam Chair, it's just also I put in C there just that you commit to regularly review the portfolios. Just want to make sure that the community board's happy to have that included in the resolution, part C.
Oh, sorry. Yep, got it. Thank you. So we're happy to do that because like I mentioned earlier, this can work really well, but we actually need to be actively doing this.
Do you want to put time in there or open every meeting or to record it?
It doesn't have to happen in a meeting either.
No, but it would be nice that when we have things, you know, that where we have, let me think what it's called. Gosh. Board members' reports from meetings attended, that you're bringing something back to the table as a result of these portfolios. It'd be just nice to hear that you've been speaking to one or two groups and being able to just maybe bring back some feedback. Bruce?
I think we can all help each other. And you know, if I know that what sports or Kane's doing rural, so if something hits me, we'll just talk to each other and then
Yep.
it's back to the board.
That would be great. Yeah, but we just saw this as a really good opportunity to really reach out and be going to them instead of expecting people to come to us. Okay, if there's nothing further in regard to discussion on that, we'll move these. Okay, so can we please move A, that we receive the report of Kieran Phillips, Governance Officer, B, that we adopt and appoint community board members to the following portfolios. Do I need to read all those out again? Yep, good as gold, thank you. And C, that we commit to regularly review the portfolio. So can I have someone, Bruce, to move that, Kane to second, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate that. We now move on to item 10, the Treasury report, which is on pages 91 to 93. So I don't know if there's anything special about, is there any comments or any questions in regard to the Treasury report? We've basically got $25,000 sitting there. Yeah, it's just under 50,000, just under. Yeah, I think 49 something. Oh, or maybe it's 40. Yeah, 49,600. Yeah, there it is. So no questions there, Lou? Okay, so Lou, you're moving that we accept that report. Thank you. Someone to second it. Kane, all in favour? Against? Carried. Righto. The biggie one. So discretionary fund allocations. So I do just need to remind everybody that we will move into a public excluded space if when and if we are discussing financial details. So I just want to check, do we want to discuss any of those things now before we actually get into what we've decided that we want to allocate to everybody? How would you like to do this? In the past, what we've done is we've each, so for the new members in particular, in the past when we've done our discretionary funding, we have each had a number that we have put forward as the amount that we think we would like to contribute to that particular organisation, and then Kieran does her magic with her maths and adds it up and takes the average, and that's the amount that we give to that group. We found that that worked pretty fairly, but if someone else has got a different way of doing it or got any other suggestions, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Just so I'm clear on this. So if they receive the funds for this, they can't, when's the next one they can apply? Or is this next financial year? But then if they get it in, was it September, October, they can't apply again, can they?
So they can't get money from council for the same project in more than once in a financial year. So an organisation can apply for a project in the September round and then apply again for a different project and still get funding.
Right, so it's the same project.
It's got to be the same project. Right. Yeah.
But in this particular case, because we're at the end of the financial year, they actually could apply now. And if we can't give them all of the money, for example, they could apply in the new financial year for the same project. So it's because it's in the new financial, the next round will be in the new financial year.
So I suggest we do it the same way as
we normally do.
That's working pretty well.
Yep.
Which is basically we just go through, have a comment and an amount.
Yep.
And then we just add it up like the next one.
Okay, so I do just need to check, has anyone got any concerns or questions specifically in relation to any of the financials that we need to go to public excluded, or are you happy to proceed? Because if we do, it's better to go and do that once and discuss any of those financial concerns or comments rather than going in and out and in and out.
I've got a couple, but probably rather get to them at that time, just so it's easier.
Are they sort of together? Because we can.
Yeah, they are kind of together.
Yep.
Bearing in mind we have to move in and out of live stream.
So
we can move that,
to public excluded and just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's my idea.
And then you have
freedom of speech.
You have to do the awarding of the financials in public though. That's correct, isn't it?
Sorry. So the PE part, you can only discuss the financial, what's in Appendix 3. The decision is still a public decision as to how much money you allocate. So if you decide to go into PE, we will still come back, you will discuss the financial side of things, but we'll come back into a public meeting, and that's when you make your decisions as to what money is being allocated to which application. Does that make sense?
So I've only got probably got two comments. I don't want to say who they are, but I just had it jumped out once for those two.
Yeah, and the same. If you talk about those two, others might have other ones to talk about. Yeah, yeah.
No, but so seeing as you have, I think it's probably better to get them done and out of the way, just in case there are others that might be earlier on that come up. So I'm thinking that we do the public excluded for those questions that you've got, and then it just might jog some other people that they go, oh, I'd like to ask that about these people's financial accounts that you weren't quite sure on. So we can get all of that done before we get started, and that we're nice and clear when we go in to allocate that funding. Does that sound okay? Right, so we
Excuse me, just Madam Chair, just for the people online, when we go into move into public excluded, yes, we will stop the live stream, and then when we come back out, we'll restart the live stream. So, yeah.
So I need to move that we go into public excluded, don't I?
And that emergency matter can't have any conflicts.
That's for this one.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So I'd like to move that we move into public excluded to discuss the financial details of the discretionary fund allocations. Can I have someone to move that? John, to second it? Jill, all in favour?